really feel like it.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your boy Jamsys, and to celebrate the new release of ML Laika, I'm going to be playing a few Laika games. I did not pull for ML Laika. I just don't have speed gear, and I'm free to play player, so like, you know, what can you do? Well, reformed. Anyway, I think I used to be a monthly pack player until Payra came out, and Payra really tilted me because there was a few games in that RTA season where, what's his face? Yeah, where it came down to Payra versus APOC, and Payras would solo my APOC by restricting and soulburn stunning her until I died on the inside. So that's why I stopped spending on this game. Anyway, first match, we're up against Canna. If you do remember last time, I did kind of hacks him. Like, it was 50-50. There was hacks on both sides. It's just my hacks was a lot more noticeable when I when I trophy stunned his Kayron. But his Kayron, in my defense, did resist my Conquer Lilius S2, and I misplayed that, so like, whatever. We're basically just racing. I'm pretty sure this Anos is like really fast because Kanna's an aggro ape. And me too. Wait, what was the question? Anyway, I'm basically just pressing imprints and slamming them, and I forgot that I'm not actually pre-banning Zeo, so I'm in a bad position because my Laika is also not on Guiding Light because, you know, at a certain point, once you're 310 speed, like, what's the point of having Guiding Light? My opponent, Canna, picks really intelligently here, so he has a bridge for Zeo, and he also has Kayron, which can solo my team. And as we established earlier, Canna is a really aggressive player, so I'm pretty sure this Yaffine's like 260 or like whatever. So there's no risk of him being unable to cut with his Yaffine. And if his Yaffine goes, my team's about to get deleted, and I'm pretty sure my opponent is going to ban Wander Assault because it's the only thing that stops Kayron. But yeah, I end up having to ban Zeo, and we basically have to pray, like manifest, that this what's it called, Kayron falls asleep. I basically take everything off of speed imprints because I should realistically outspeed his team with no imprints, and we do. And so what I go for here is I was trying to ER check the Kayron, but Kayron has 20% evasion with Shepherd. I fail that check. Okay, cool. We kind of have to get rid of the Sid. We pull WEEDRED, we proc Kayron, and we delete the rest of his team. And so we're getting into the section of the match where I kind of just have to manifest and mentally use Spore on Kayron and hope Kayron does not counter. But if you've been counting, Kayron's been hit 3 times right now with no counters, so like, it's going pretty well. I can eat 1 or 2 counters, I think, but yeah, this is not looking too hot. I really don't want to press Laika S1 either because Laika S1 pushes for whatever reason. But luckily for me, this Kayron, on Decrescent by the way, is not landing any of his counterattacks, so I'm really not complaining. He kills off, is this WEEDRED or Sid? Oh, it's WEEDRED, whatever. It doesn't make too much of a difference. But yeah. Oh, here's the first counter. Luckily we get a dodge on Acid, and not Watcher Shuri, but Shuri dies off here, which is pretty good for us because it means that there's 1 less person to attack into Kayron. But since this Kayron's probably at like base speeds, like around 130, we're gonna lap him like once or twice more. I soulburn here just for fun because I wasn't doing anything else with the souls. Unfortunately, we do not land it, so we don't strip anything either. I decide to press S2 here because it pushes up less, and we finally get the second counterattack of the game, and we get a 3rd hit off with Acid, and there's no counter and there's no hit, so I actually robbed him super fucking hard. But you know, I'm a bad person, so I'm at peace with it. It's not a game if you don't hack someone who has better gear and plays better than you, you know? What?
Counter terrorists.
Yeah, as always, if you like my content, please like, subscribe, join my Discord. It's actually like my Discord is like actually really popping, and if you're part of my Discord, feel free to talk. We're all just a bunch of clowns having fun, you know. But yeah, we're going to continue our reign of terrorizing people in RTA with Laika. But yeah, as expected, ML Laika did not make too big of a splash in the meta, just because target is on units that aren't super seen a lot, like Elegos and Laika have it, but they're not like meta mainstays or staples. Some people suggested like Elfelt on Song of Stars, but like that's a little bit too much cooking for me, because that would mean that Elfelt would not be on Guiding Light, and at Elfelt's speed range that's kind of risky, and she's subject to 15%, which I guess you can bypass with Laika, but like I feel like Laika wants to slow burn us too. Anyway, we're just gonna move over onto the next match. We obviously have to slam our speed contester first, because that's the only way I know how to play. And my opponent responds by picking AOL and APOC. I pick Adin here just because it kind of looks cleavy, and I pick Stenny just in case they pivot to something else. I have like an anchor, so I try to do a best of both worlds situation, but like in hindsight it is kind of greedy. And just to hammer that point home, my opponent picks Rand and Karina, so I guess they're trying to go for the best of both worlds too, but they have 1 cleave initiator and 2 anchors, so that's like kind of an awkward situation. So I think what I should do here is I should honestly pivot out, because his team's like kind of messy, and even if Stenny does die to the Rand S3, like she holds book, so like there's worse things in the world. But we shall see what past me decided to do. I don't remember because I have the brain damage, but I decided to pivot out, like as you should. I pick Handguy here just because he counters both of the 2 openers with Ran and AOL. I can like cleanse off the death breaks or whatever. And I kind of just need like a safe DPS pick that doesn't die to APOC and doesn't die to Karina, which is not a super easy feat. But I decide to just go for like a mitigation unit that also does damage in Yolha. And Yolha's pretty good just because Karina splash, she can eat it and then S3 someone like first turn if she has to. She's kind of self-sufficient, so like that's why I went for Yolha. And yeah, just to show that this is something I've heard from a lot of people in my guild especially, is that aggro players, the best aggro players know when to like pivot out. Like you'll see this with like XLR9 or like Valky to some extent. And I honestly think that is the correct way to go, just because some comps are just too RNG reliant, or it's a little too brute forcey to continue aggroing in. So that's a direction I'm trying to go in with the new season, is I'm trying to pivot a bit more. I ban AOL just because we have a bunch of AoEs that can proc her. They ban Handguy just because Handguy has clans, like blah blah blah, nothing too new. This Rand does outspeed my Laika, so I'm gonna call speed RNG on this one, even though Rand does have like 8 base speed on top of Laika, and it was pretty close, so whatever. Rand pickers, what can you do, right? Luckily though, they decide to not risk the Rand S3 to get a counter, and so I respond to that by just going for like a S3 of my own. And I do this for a very specific reason. It's because Thapton does deal with evasion like decently well, but she doesn't deal with evasion units with immunity. And if she presses S3 here, none of my team is going to get like the bombs, and if she presses S1 as she does here, she's going to get procced. Like she's going to proc Adin, and then apparently this Ran is really squishy and almost dies to my Adin. So Karina is able to come up here. My opponent goes for the very high risk, high reward play of S3ing into Adin. And we luckily do not get deleted. So the reason I say that's a high risk, high reward play, technically it is, but like it also isn't. And the reason is because Karina's can't target my Stenage because like Stenny has like stealth or whatever. And Karina actually needs to hit her S3 to get the splash damage or whatever. So I guess 50% chance of missing and 70% of chance of missing aren't like super far away. So I can kind of understand why they went for that. And I miscalculated and don't kill their APOC off. So they actually go for the S3 on Adin. But thankfully, due to Aureus and me changing up the bulk a bit onto my, what's his face, on Adin, we're able to actually survive. And with the S2, it should draw in Adin just because Adin got the attack buff from dodging. And we're able to sustain up a bit and kill APOC through the damage share. And at this point, the game's over because like there's no way Stenny doesn't clean up this game before Fafton does, so we pick up another easy Laika win. But yeah, I will have to say that I do get that like content creators should pull for like Moonlight 5 stars to create content, but like I don't know. I'm also in the camp of like you should live within your means, and for me, wasting mystics on a character that doesn't seem to mesh super well with your playstyle doesn't seem that productive. Like, although I did that with DDR, the fact that I did that for DDR is the reason why I can't do it for ML Laika. Like, I'm sorry. I do like her voice lines though, and her S3 animation, but everything else is like kind of mid. So, even more reason that I did not want to pull. But in the next match, we are obviously gonna continue drafting Laika because she's our 310 opener of choice. So you know I had to do it to them. They pick a really common answer in Rimuru here, and that's fine. But what they do not know is that my Laika is actually cooking. So I told you, right, that my Laika is actually not on Guiding Light. She's on Glow Wings because my 2 Guiding Lights are currently on characters that really need them. Like Flutica, especially at my speed range, is unpickable without Guiding Light. And Landy, just at all speeds, is unpickable with Guiding Light. So, very tragic. My opponent picks in 2 speed units, and since they didn't really pick an imprint, and I'm quite confident in the speed of my Laika, I decided to just go and press Acid plus imprint. It's kind of weird trying to race with DJB, but what can you do? I'm pretty much locked in. Judging from the bans, there's not a great target because I'm not too sure if any of these units will die to a S2 from Laika, so WEEDRED can cut, which might be really bad for me. And maybe I have to ban designer a little bit in case I want to press S3 first turn, but to be honest, like my options were not too great. I decided to keep my WEEDRED on the self-attack imprint just because, you know, I'm very confident in my Laika speed. I was just egoing this guy. I don't know. I was just feeling it. But oof, look at that. We are rewarded because we kind of outsped that Celilius by a lot. And I wasn't too sure if this Cowrick or Reamer was a target, but I just go for the Cowrick because with target buff, it should be like a 30% chance to miss, which were odds I was willing to take. And we get a really lucky proc deletion from WEEDRED. So we get this like really nice clean sweep from Laika, which I was pretty happy about. But yeah, do not be mistaken, Laika is not a bad opener, it's just she has a lot of faults compared to Concrelius, and a lot of people do mistake that she is an S2 bot, but there are certain situations in games where you can get into late frenzy and just control their team over and over again just by soul burning her S3. So that is something to keep in mind, but that is not something you're going to watch from me because like Laika is just not a unit for my playstyle, because I think I would describe my playstyle as Concrelius aggro. So having Concrelius is pretty much a centerpiece for my playstyle. I know it's surprising, right? It's not like I don't first pick her every chance she's available in other videos. And speaking of Concorlius, I want to speak briefly on the balance patch. I'm not too sure if I want to review it, but I will say that it is very standard focused. A lot, or most, no, all of the buffs you ever saw in the balance patch, the one last Friday, was about standard. So standard players are having a field day. It kind of makes sense since the meta was so aggressive for so long, but you know, I kind of think they overcorrected with Lilius, in my opinion. But I heard people saying Tywin was pretty good. But overall, I'm pretty happy because my preferred playstyle is eating snails, and if snail meta is good, then there's more snails to eat. Like, bon appetit. Call me French. But yeah. Let me know though if you want to see me do a aggressive players insight onto what's it called? Insight aggros. No. Wait. Aggro players insight on the last balance patch. Sorry, I'm having like a stroke or something. Anyway,
what's wrong with y'all at home? What makes y'all be so negative?
Rand and Adin, which kind of tilted me, as you can see from the clicking. And then when it was time to race, they decided they didn't want to race anymore, and BBK Kayron me. So now I'm like scrambling as hard as I can. I think what I should have picked here in the last pot was actually Peyra, because Peyra deals with both pretty decently. But I just decided to go for the next safest option, which is an AOL, because AOL just threatens that she's very high effectiveness, because like when you normally see BBK Kayron, you know that it's about to be some sort of ER shenanigans for the most part. And by picking AOL into them, it's me like saying that like, hey, my AOL is really high effectiveness, trust me bro, it's fine. And yeah, I just decided to ban out Amid, so there's no like push or any shenanigans of that sort, because I'm pretty sure I can deal with Rand effectively since I'm like guaranteed to outspeed him. And my opponent might think this is a fast AOL, even though it isn't. It's like 240, but you never know. But luckily they do end up banning out my AOL, so that's something accounted for. But this match is going to be very interesting. I give myself the team imprint for Laika, but I don't want to make her too fast because I don't want to be autoing into Kayron or what's her face. So I decided to give the back end speed imprint to Celine instead. But there's not a lot of wiggle room to what we can do. We kind of have to get rid of WEEDRED. We kind of have to use WEEDRED to get rid of Rand. We luckily do get a hit onto Adin, so that's one RNG check that I successfully passed. But here we go, we're entering the Giga RNG festival that is BBK Kayron. I decided to press the S3 here on Spirit Eye Celine just because you kind of have to. The speed tuning's kind of bad because I kind of needed Watcher Shuri to go after my BBK, not Watcher Shuri to go before my Spirit Eye Celine. But since he did not, the immortality wears off and Kayron does get an extra turn. So that's kind of an L. I will definitely have to look into making my Spirit Eye Celine like slower or something, because she's already on like a very unique build where I use her specifically as an anchor into these two scenarios. And it turns out this BBK isn't even on a ER build if Laika's able to sleep her, because she only has like 120 effectiveness, which is like that much. Or maybe it was just like a lucky RNG. But yeah, we kind of just have to pray that we're able to survive this. BBK goes for S3, it's uncounterable. Everything else dies as expected. But if we heal up enough, we might be able to survive. But unluckily, we do not get the buffed S1 from Celine. So she doesn't heal enough and she dies. There's definitely areas where I could have improved this game, like the not the ML Winter, the AE, the Espa Winter artifact could be higher level, like for sure. It's only like +5, so that's kind of sus, but ML Celine not getting the boosted counterattack really did hurt too. And that is something I wish they would buff for ML Celine, is that I think her proc rate should be a base 50% and then 100% if it's due to her getting crit. But c'est la vie. You just keep it pushing and go on to the next match. And in the next match, it's Mozizio, I think. Like, again, like, guys, I can't read. I am an aggro player. What are brain cells? I first picked Laika just because, you know, again, trying to play Epic 7 in 2023 without a 310 unit, like, you're a stronger person than I am. They immediately start trying to race. So I'm like, do I want to race back or do I? And then, so I decide to pick Shuri here just because he's one of the bigger imprints left. And then I also decide to pick Adin here just in case I want to do like an anti-cleave route, because I was like, there's a bunch of matches in this day where I pressed S2 and just deleted the enemy team, you know, and like that's like fun and all, but like it gets pretty boring eventually. My opponent does follow up with a Rand, which is like lame, and the people I was in call with did warn me that this Rand is on Symbol of Unity, so it would be a 50-50 against Adin. So I wanted to go anti-cleave because it's like way too late for me to like come back, I think. So I pick Edward here because I'm pretty much basically going to let Ed through guaranteed at this point. And because I am letting Ed through, I also need to pick more anti-debuff. And I think I'm going to do this with Designer a little bit. So that's pretty good. I'm pretty much going to ban last here, and I have to kind of hope for the best, because I think my opponent will just ban Laika and have a guaranteed first turn. So that's kind of exciting for me, I guess, or like disparage. They might actually ban Adin too, I'm not too sure. They do go for the Ida last pick, and honestly I'm not too threatened by Ida, or I was, but I kind of have to hope that my Edward and Designer a little bit can survive. So it's either Ida getting banned here or it's Amid. There's no way I can ban Rand or the Speed Imprints. I decide that the best course of action is to actually ban their Amid and kind of hope that my Edward and Designer a little bit can carry me through this game. I don't do anti-cleave a lot, so like obviously if I wanted to anti-cleave I should have picked mitigation like 10 ages ago, but what can you do when you are unintelligent? Rand goes for his S2, and obviously he's not going to go for S3 because of Edward, but oh my god, look at that damage from Rand onto Edward. He does like half his health, which is like very fair and balanced. Now Ida's going to go, and I thought I lost here. I was like very close to top writing, but then the person with the most cracked Ida world was like, there's no way the Ida kills this Edward, and they were right, because Edward literally survives with like a sliver of health, and we're able to land some critical debuffs onto Wanderer Silk. We get the provoke, so she's not able to do anything, and with a blind, Edward's actually able to survive. And before I can actually get my licks in, my opponent's like, oh no, we gotta go, and then leaves. So yeah, anticlimactic, but we were able to showcase some versatility for the judges. And yeah, that's it for today's video. As always, I would like to say thanks for watching and supporting this channel. I really appreciate it. I apologize for the messy upload schedule, but I promise I'm working on it, and I'll catch y'all next time.